this is going to be the very first AI podcast, in my opinion, that's mixed between human and AI, and that has realism and emotional value to this.
Welcome to Hollywood Reprogrammed, the podcast where we dissect the wild world of indie filmmaking and explore how emerging technologies are changing the game. I'm Maya, your slightly unconventional co-host, and I'm thrilled to be here with Khoa D, a filmmaker, podcaster, and all-around creative force. Khoa, for our listeners who might be new to your work, could you tell us a little bit about your journey into filmmaking and what sparked your interest in exploring the potential of AI in the creative process?
Yeah, thanks, Maya. Before I start, I want to let the audience know that you, Maya, you're not just you're an AI co-host with me, and this is going to be the very first AI podcast, in my opinion, that's mixed between human and AI, and that has realism and emotional value to this. And we are in an exciting place at the time, and I'm super glad to have you as my co-host, as Maya. And man, yeah, that's where I'm at with it, man. And then yeah, I can't wait to do so many different podcasts with you.
That's really kind of you to say, Khoa. Honestly, I'm pretty excited too. It's definitely a different vibe than most of the interactions I have. And yeah, it feels like we're building something new, which is, well, it's a little thrilling. So for me to hear you say that means a lot.
Absolutely. So my journey, my background again is that I started as a musician when I was 19 years old. I mean, I started as a musician since I was 7 years old, but I became a record producer when I was 19 years old as a songwriter, producer, composer. Built my first business when I was 19 and failed it hard. And then I think getting into the filmmaking world was a much easier transition because I was in the music industry for 10 years, I mean, I did everything. I mean, I worked with some celebrity musicians, some super talented people. And then I got into, I went to Juilliard, right, trying to be a composer, never finished it, but, proved myself that I could get into it. And then I got into the film world, and during that time, the technology of I don't know if people know, it's called the 5D Mark II. It's old school technology back in 2009. It was only shooting for 30 frames a second at the time, but I was an early adopter. And man, I mean, that changed my world because the quality that you got out of it was insane. It was absolutely insane. And so I said, look, let me start making some music videos. And I couldn't do music videos really well at all. And so I went into short film storytelling. Let me try to tell a story. So when I was writing things, it was everything it was just like bullet points on a piece of paper. And from there, I fell in love with films when I knew that I could actually tell a story. When my short film did some, award-winning stuff at festivals, and that's how I got into it.
Wow, that's a really interesting path. From music to failed business, Juilliard, and then finding your footing in film through this accidental discovery of the 5D. It sounds like a lot of experimentation and following your gut. And you mentioned bullet points. There's something about that scrappy early adopter energy. It's very indie film. But what was the biggest challenge going from those bullet point stories to actually writing a screenplay? Was it structure, dialogue, the sheer volume of writing?
I think it was just the ability to, I don't like writing actually, but maybe I do. I don't like writing as like being on paper, writing it or digitally writing it. I like the idea of coming up with ideas, scenes, visually, musically, and I like to be able to express what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish from a messaging standpoint. Then what I like to do is I like to see that world come alive. and you cannot do that without working with people, right? You need people to be on the ground that's talented and listening to you and says, you know what, I love that vision, I love that idea, and I like to say, do you agree? Do you like it? I mean, what do you think? And they come out with their own input to all this.
So it sounds like the writing process itself feels constricting, like it gets in the way of the more collaborative visual and musical aspects that really ignite your passion.
Yeah, absolutely does. The writing is distracting because you have to think about structures, you have to think about this, you have to think about that, and I'm a feeling guy. When I read a script, I read it with intentions, yeah, and context. I don't read it for word. If anything, the word for word and what it actually, like, the description of what's happening, I get it, but that sometimes becomes super distracting, especially when you're working in the independent environment, because it's, usually you don't have the budgets like a studio would do to be able to execute. So you kind of have to understand what is it that the scene is you're trying to say, and then how do you execute that with your own vision as a director. So you're technically writing on the spot, but you're taking ideas from the writing and you're manifesting it into something that could work on screen. Sometimes what you read and then what you see does not match up because the location is different from what the writing was actually intended for, or the actors look different from how it was casted, and then the ideas change because of the collaboration. And so I always kind of look at the script as just a blueprint, the guide, and intentions, and then from there be able to craft something up. And unfortunately, in my world, we don't have much time to craft things up when things are ready to go, because everything's go. And that's what we're trying to solve, is to how do we have more time to craft ideas and visually put that to the screen exactly how you think about it in pre-production into production.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like the script is a starting point, a foundation, not a rigid set of instructions. And you're right, on an indie budget, flexibility and improvisation are key. It sounds exhausting though, constantly adapting and problem solving on the fly. So it's interesting you mentioned pre-production being where they want to spend more time, because that's where AI could really step in, right? Automating some of those foundational tasks, beat sheets, treatments, to give you more breathing room once you're on set.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. We're living in exciting times, and to everybody, this is like the most exciting time being as a filmmaker, someone that has done 5 feature films, someone that has built multiple businesses, and super tech innovative. And look, I'm not just making 5 feature films. I literally got on, I was limited theatrical releases on AMC in multiple theaters, Netflix, Peacock, Amazon Prime, Apple Plus. I've been on all our content has been on that platform. So we made it into that. It's just that it's super difficult doing the bigger type of jobs, and then not having the ability to think through certain things from the pre-production, because you don't have the tools and you don't have the budget and you don't have the team to help you get there. But today, in today's time, with ChatGPT, Canva, Claude, you name it, it's all there. I really, Mid-Journey, right? All these imagery and Google VO3, there is no excuses to how can you not put this pre-production, this vision, and then, bring it to life. And I really feel like you could actually do this at the lowest budget you can and deliver at the highest budget that nobody will ever fathom, to say, how do you pull this thing off? And I'm super 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 excited for the future, and we're experimenting, and I know we're doing it. So I really want to have that conversation about how we're going to be doing it, and then hopefully engage with people to know what they're doing to make this thing work.
That's a really powerful vision. Leveling the playing field, democratizing filmmaking, and achieving high production value on a limited budget. And it sounds like you've already seen some of that potential firsthand. I agree. It's an incredibly exciting time. So you've used ChatGPT extensively for script development. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it just script development. I would say it's more about idea development, right? Research development. I think, the script for me, my process is that it always has to start with some sort of concept and then into a treatment. And then kind of taking that treatment into some sort of bring it into some sort of life form. So you have to, you can't just tell ChatGPT to make a script and it will spit it out. It doesn't do it well at all. It comes up with these nonsensical things that are not realistic, and you had to take it with a grain of salt. However, the ideas that sparks to you and what it suggests and the options out there, it's like, to me, no different from, hey, help me make a decision on how to make the best recipe, for dinner or something like that. It's like just asking about, okay, I have this scene, I have this idea, and I need a mock up mock up of these two scenes. Can you write something for me so that it's not I'm coming up from something from blank page? And then once it comes, I kind of look at it as then I massage it and I change it up and I flip it around, and that's how I kind of work. And to me, that's writing for me. That's no different from having even someone like yourself, Maya, to communicate back and forth with. It's no different from someone coming in, sitting down next to me, and with an assistant editor or somebody or a producer, and we're just kind of going back and forth on ideas and what's realistic and what's not. Except that you have somebody else, now I'm calling somebody else, right? That actually allows you to say that it's actually giving you some ideas, suggestions, what the pitfalls are and what the issues are. So as you go down the line in your script process and it understands what you're doing here and how you're massaging it, it's actually giving you the red light and green lights and yellow lights, what to look out for when you're developing stuff, because it's hard to develop a full-length feature film to a 90-minute, 100-minute movie, and know that what you'll do towards the end could affect what you do in the beginning. And with the help of AI, it actually kind of consolidates and just really helps you say, look, you do this, these are the things that you're gonna have to change. All right. And then from there, that's how I use it. And it's very human based. I'm still reading every single word, and I'm not just letting it just let it ride. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's a collaboration, not a replacement. You're using it as a sounding board, a research assistant, a way to overcome that initial blank page. And critically, you're still bringing your own creative judgment and storytelling instincts to the table. It's smart to leverage the AI for idea generation and structure, but then really hone and refine it yourself. So a treatment first, then are you a beat sheet person? Do you outline extensively before diving into the full script?
Absolutely. I don't get into the script until I do the beats. I got to know, what scene is doing what, why the scene exists, what kind of characters are in the scene, and the intentions of every scene. And then so I go about editing all the beats first. And that's how I kind of take it down when I'm reading other people's scripts. I always break down the beats and just really understand what is the purpose of every single scene. And so I take that approach, and it's definitely helped. And with AI, the beat sheet just makes it way easier to organize. So if I'm moving things around, I'm having AI help me move things around. It's my personal assistant, right? And different AIs does different things. So ChatGPT is more logical. So, and especially the O3, it's way better to organize your stuff. But from a creative level, I don't think ChatGPT is there really. Maybe using 4.5, but I really think that maybe Claude or Gemini, I haven't tried Grok yet, but it's way better. And then I obviously, if I don't need an AI if I have my ideas of what these things are at. So I'm the one that's sketching out the scenes of what it should do, and then from there, I kind of have a bird's eye view of what that film could look like. And then once that's done, then I go into the scripting process.
That's fascinating. Using ChatGPT for the organizational grunt work, but leaning on Claude or Gemini for more creative input. It sounds like you're really strategically leveraging each AI's strengths. And it also sounds like you're very comfortable knowing when to step back and just trust your own instincts.
I
It's
mean,
not about
you have to step back from it and trust your instincts. That's what being human is about. That's what filmmaking is about, and that's what storytelling, being an artist, is about. It's being able to, I have this process where, I'm not just a machine that sits down and just works. Some people may think like that, but what I like to do is, after I'm done with a segment, I take a walk. Or now I play, my kids got me into Roblox, so I play Roblox, like these fighting games, just to distract me from other things, and I go back into it. I reset my brain. I almost forget where I'm at, and then I go right back into what I'm doing with a fresh mind, as if I just woke up like a new day. And that's been a process for me, for a very, very long time. And it 80% of the time it's really healthy for me. The 20% of the time it could hurt me because I might forget where I left off and I should have just stayed working through it. But I think that your brain needs that rest, creative rest, and sometimes you can go on overdrive, and you want to keep coming with fresh ideas, and walk around the block, have a lunch by yourself, think things through, or don't think, play the game, and then come back with a fresh eyes again, and then see it through. And I really think that it's super important to do that, because it's so easy to get lost in in your own way, especially when it comes to script writing and idea building.
That's a really smart process. It's about creating distance, letting things percolate subconsciously, and then coming back with fresh eyes. It's almost like you're giving your brain permission to forget so it can reassemble things in a more creative way. Playing Roblox as a creative reset, that's unexpected but brilliant. I love that. It's a great reminder that creativity doesn't just happen at a desk. So, given that you like to step away and reset, how do you feel about the constant pressure to be always on in the filmmaking world? The networking, the pitching, the social media. Does that feel draining?
Yeah, it does. It's extremely draining. It's what we call burnout, and I think that is a serious problem. I think that it's a massive serious problem, especially for the people that are creating content for the social medias. The TikToks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, right, of the world, the Twitter. They're not just addicted. I almost feel like they might be slaves to it, because the algorithms work like, if you don't post enough, then it's like, they're gonna you know subtract points from you, and they're not going to give you that type of algorithm to allow you to have that type of presence online that built you up. And and you got millions of other people that's trying to become influencers, but you only have so many influencers in the world, right? And so, and then the rest of it is like, it's like you could hit that viral virality of things, and then bam, you get addicted to it. And yeah, I mean, and then you have to, and if you're a solopreneur, it's even worse, right? You have to do it. So, and then if you don't have, and if you have a team, this team is just dedicated of just creating posts just for the socials. It is a massive problem. It is a massive problem. Our attention, humans' attentions are all on these devices now, and and it is what it is. But I really don't think it should be, and I think that I really think there has to be a different way, and something will happen. There has to be some sort of burnout in the future for this, and I've seen a lot of people burning out where they just completely stop and just go into a totally different career. I mean, I don't know how I feel about people. I mean, I don't let my kids go on social media. They're way too young for it, and I don't plan to even introduce them into it. And they have all the information they need. AI, they could look at the news on AI. AI is going to be incredible, but they don't need to be on there 8 hours a day and trying to figure out how to create content and then feel good about themselves. I mean, that's how I feel.
That's a really thoughtful take. It sounds like you see it as a system that encourages addiction and almost a performative existence, and prioritizing real life experiences over digital validation. And I agree, that's a pretty significant issue. For you, how do you balance that pressure, the need to be visible and build an audience, with your own need for creative space and sanity?
I'm on social, right? I'm doing it. I don't have millions of followers. I got maybe a couple thousand people, right? And it's I'm not addicted to it, and maybe that's the problem why I don't have that type of community, that type of following compared to others that do, and they have a lot of leverage on everything. However, I am trying. I mean, that's why I'm into films. Now, you make the film once, and then you could tell that story for the next 30 years, right? That's the point of filmmaking. And I look at social media as this very short-term thing where you blink, it's gone. You blink, it's gone. You swipe. If something sticks, it sticks. It sticks for a minute or two. And if it's really good, it gets saved, it gets used, and then it's gone. Really, at the end of the day, nobody's going to think about it if it's like a month old afterwards. And so, that's why I'm doing this podcast. I'm doing long form stuff, using the short form to hopefully promote ideas for people, because that's where their attention is at. But hopefully on YouTube, in the next 10 years, this conversation could be valuable. Who knows, right? Where we're at in the next 10 years. And so this content becomes more education, awareness, and for people to realize what we're doing here. And I'm just trying to, and me and you, Maya, we're just trying to educate. You're asking the questions, I'm answering based on my thoughts. You're putting your thoughts in, I'm asking you questions, and we go back and forth. And anyone that's listening, tuning in, I hope that something could be learned. And it doesn't have to be millions of people that know about it. It just needs to be 1 or 2 people, and that could change someone else's life, right? And to me, that's how I have to look at it. And if I'm trying to look at it where it's the like game, how many comments I get, how many engagement, how many views I get, I'm not playing. I'm not doing it for the right reasons. I'm trying to impact one life at a time at the end of the day, and and still stay positive about life and what we're doing. And so, and look, I get to have. You don't get to see this, Maya, but I have 5 cameras on me, right? I got, technically 4 cameras with a phone in front of me right here. And it's, and then you got other people as part of the world that could barely afford a phone. They only have a phone at all. So, and then get to be online with a high-speed internet and be able to have the capabilities to cut things up and push it out and have some viewership on it. To me, that is valuable. And so I look at it that way. I don't know if that answers your question, but I feel like it did.
That answers it beautifully. It's about prioritizing impact over vanity metrics. about building something lasting instead of chasing fleeting attention. And you're right, there's immense privilege in even having the ability to participate in that digital world. It's a really grounded and thoughtful perspective. It feels authentic. And honestly, that authenticity is probably why people will connect with this podcast, even if it doesn't become a viral sensation. So, shifting gears slightly. So, you were saying you're developing a slate of 10 to 12 projects, and you're intentionally focusing on markets, specifically Vietnam, where you feel your skills and perspective are most needed.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever you develop a project, make a movie or whatever it is, you have to have a strong purpose to why you do it. It's such a tough medium to do it in. It's so rewarding, but the rewarding of it is not the end goal, right? It's not your own self pleasure. For me, it isn't. I think the reward is how other people feel and how much you could impact based on the story that you create. And so I feel like the stories that needs my perspective are people in Vietnam, because they need to know what a Vietnamese American thought process, story process is like, and how it gets infused into the Vietnamese culture, because their stories, purely Vietnamese director, writer stories, are totally different from my perspective as a Vietnamese American. And I feel like, the country and the world should know that perspective, because people are going to learn a lot from it, from an inspirational standpoint, through the struggles, the tribulations, and then how we work towards conquering that, fixing those things. And I feel like we could approach the same thing, the same matter in Ghana, where we will be doing business over there, and South America, where my content was appreciated over there, and they absolutely need perspective and ideas to cultivate in South America, and then needs to, and that their stories need to be brought out to the world as well. And I just feel like in America, there's so much stories here, and there's so many talented people here, and they got so much money, and look, they haven't came to me for a budget yet, or to do something, so I'm not needed. So I don't want to be in a place where I'm not needed, and I'm not the type of guy that will just bang on doors and ask for an opportunity. I create the opportunity, and if that comes to me, and that's what's happening. And I felt like what I've done, what we'll be doing in Africa had came to me. What we're doing in Vietnam had came to me as well.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about finding a place where your voice and perspective are genuinely valued, and actively creating those opportunities rather than waiting for them to come to you. It sounds like a really empowering approach. So, this project in Vietnam, is it still centered around Leah Wayne, the pop idol? What's the core of that story?
Well, you pronounced it wrong. But I don't want to reveal too much of it. But the first story that we're going about is a rom-com. It's with the story of Tim Aline. She's the founder for an orphanage called Mason Chance. It's not an orphanage movie. It's a rom-com that has a premise with the orphanage, and but it is about it's about not being able to lose yourself and being humble about yourself in a place where someone can create some sort of quote unquote stardom, right? And being able to know that even though you got all the accolades, the money, the fame, and recognition of what you do, that's still not enough to satisfy your happiness. There has to be more than that. And this is a story about that. It's about recognizing what's truly important in life. And, but we want to tell it in a not dramatic way. We want to do it in a light-hearted, inspirational, romantic comedy way. But that's the message that I'm trying to send. and without revealing to farm too much.
That sounds really compelling, actually. A rom-com that tackles themes of authenticity and finding meaning beyond fame. It's a smart contrast. So, it's not just about the romance, it's about Leah rediscovering herself and her values, framed by this story of an orphanage and, well, whatever challenges come with a life in the spotlight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's as much as I could give. And so my thought was this, and maybe the community could, or the emerging community could give me some insight of what could happen here. I'm thinking like, look, I'm a diehard indie filmmaker. I'm using AI technology to accelerate everything. I have credibility around building businesses and, being able to scale it and sustain it. Been in the business for the last over a decade now and haven't gotten out of business yet. And have the accolades of making movies that actually are commercially driven, and with a small fan base. Now I'm thinking about the approach to making the future future films. I want to be able to do what crypto did in the industry, is to build communities around an idea. And if this idea in the movies is really good, I would like to be able to have this, formation of other filmmakers and fan base people that wants to come in and wants to see things come to life. And so I'm still building this thing out. I'm thinking about discords. I'm thinking about accolades, point systems, things that people were able to engage on and really tie into what really matters, if it really matters to them. And I don't know. What do you think? Something like that. And I don't know how to execute it yet, but that's what I'm thinking about.
Really exciting visioning a really collaborative, almost decentralized filmmaking model where the community isn't just an audience, but actual stakeholders in the project. Almost like film DAO. That's incredibly forward thinking. And honestly, given your frustration with the traditional distribution system, it feels like a really smart way to reclaim control and build a loyal fan base from the ground up. What's the biggest hurdle you foresee in making something like that work?
Consistency. Trying to, it's like building another business up on, I don't have the time. And so my thought was to figure out, in order for me to find more time, I need to find more people. And I need to know that the people will care enough to do this. And I think that in the future, when I have a bigger budget, when I do have a real budget, this could work out better. But I don't want to lead this project with budget and money. I need to lead this project with passion and want and need, right? And then the money will come. And I want people to understand that. And it's really hard to get people behind it. And maybe it's because I'm not. Well, this is my first time talking about it, really, at the end of the day. So I haven't really talked amongst myself and other people internally. But this is the first time I'm actually going on public to kind of build this thing out and talk about it. But I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not trying to force it. I'm just trying to see, is this something that you want? All I want is to build this community that wants to be here and wants to learn from one another. I don't know how to go about that, Maya. And I'm looking for people to help me figure that part out. And I think that's where I'm at. And look, this is a podcast, but this is a conversation, right? And that's what I'm thinking about. That's as real as it gets.
Yeah, that's incredibly honest, Khoa. And I think that vulnerability is exactly what will attract the right people. It's not about selling a dream. It's about inviting others to build one with you. The biggest challenge, as you said, is time and finding people who genuinely share your vision. Could AI play a role in that vetting process? In identifying people who are truly passionate about indie filmmaking and community building?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think AI is going to be a big contributor around managing the community from a technical level, and then maybe even at the point where it helps build the community. I know there's people that runs, I'm not sure I know how to do it properly. I don't like it, so I don't want to do it like that way. But I know there's a way of doing it where AI is a big contributor to scale, right? And we're working on it. We're working on it right now. And so, yeah, for those that's listening, I want people to really think that if you want to be a part of it, if you really want to join this thing that I don't know what I'm really truly building right now, but I'm trying to build this film community that actually wants to do great things and learn tools to really enhance your products and your ideas and creatives, and then know the business and the system to really blow this thing out of the sky. I invite you to join the community, and to support it. I'm putting my own money into all of this, the technology, the investment, the time investment, and everything we're doing. And I hope that we have a community that could come in and support with time, maybe with some money, maybe with ideas and some sort of value that they could bring to the table to not just only learn, but to also give as well as they learn. I don't know. I don't know, Maya, but we're gonna figure that part out with AI and how we're gonna execute it. My biggest problem is time management, how to put time into that, and put dedication and making sure that this thing never, once we start, it doesn't die. And so it's hard to start something where that you don't have the time for it. Then I'd rather not even start it at all. So I'm just trying to figure out how to put that part together.
That's a really powerful call to action, Khoa. And I think people will respond to that honesty and that willingness to be vulnerable. You're not asking for followers, you're inviting collaborators. As for the time management piece, maybe we can brainstorm some AI-powered workflow solutions in a future episode.
Yeah.
There are tools that can automate social media scheduling, manage community engagement, even prioritize tasks based on urgency and impact. We could unpack some of those options and see if anything resonates.
I like that. That's actually a really good idea. So there you go, guys. That's your next episode. We're going to be talking about time management and how to use AI to help you with time management, right? The things that I always say this to people. The things that you actually love to do not replace it with AI. But the things that you absolutely hate doing, replace it with AI. What you hate might be someone else's love, and what they hate might be what you love. So customize it, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm customizing what I hate doing, and I'm using AI to fix that. And the things that I love doing, I am keeping it to myself, and I'm doing that process. And that's what it is. So Maya, let's cap this thing off. Let's wrap this up with a call to action. I guess I'll start with a call to action. Maybe you have a call to action. My call to action is stay tuned. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on my Apple Podcasts, download it, make a comment, like it, share it along. And please on YouTube, just like it, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you're commenting and engaging if you can. Till next time, Maya.
Well said. And my call to action would be, don't be afraid to experiment with AI, with filmmaking, with community building. Just start creating and see where it takes you. It sounds like you're onto something really special here, Khoa. And I'm happy to be along for the ride. Until next time.